Welcome back to another episode of Monday reTsene with Pretoria Psychologists. Today I'm going to be talking about the role of self-awareness and the importance it plays in self-development. So what is self-development? Self-development is the process that we take to further better ourselves, whether it be requiring new skills or even changing bad habits and behavior patterns. So the next question is, what is self-awareness? So let me ask you this. Who are you? Often, a lot of people define themselves by their roles in society, their family, their friends. They never take the time to contemplate our real existence. Who am I? Self-awareness is having in-depth knowledge and understanding into our own behaviors as well as our emotions. It becomes integral that if we want to embark in a self-development journey, that we have a core understanding of who we are. It is very unlikely that you will be able to succeed in self-development without understanding who you are. There are many benefits of practicing self-awareness. Self-awareness can help you become more proactive in your life. And what I mean by this is that you are able to become an active agent of change within your own life. As you might imagine, there are many benefits in practicing self-awareness. One of which is that you become proactive within your own life. If you become self-aware of areas in your life that you would like to develop, you then have the opportunity to take it, modify it, and grow with it, thus enhancing your personal development. Additionally, increased self-awareness helps with your self-esteem, your self-confidence, as well as makes you a better communicator with others. Because you are in a tune or in alignment with yourself, you are able to be in alignment with others. This is really important in terms of business communication, academic communication, and any communication with relationships or with families. It's also important to note that self-awareness increases your ability to make better decisions. And the reason I say this is because self-awareness ensures that you are self-attuned to your emotions. You are not making emotive decisions. You are rather making decisions that are based on rational logical thinking and processing what the best decision will be or what is the most effective decision. So, what are the ways in which you can cultivate self-awareness? The first thing I want to talk about is about creating time and space. We live in a world where it becomes so difficult for us to actually carve out solitude. Solitude in terms of reconnecting with ourselves, in terms of checking in with our emotions and our feelings. We often find that we have a day where we do not have enough time to see to our own needs. And this is where self-awareness begins. It begins with carving out solitude, carving out time for you to reconnect to yourself. And the most important thing to do here is to do so without digital distraction. Often what we do when we want to relax is scroll on Instagram, Facebook, we read, but what it actually does is it detracts from our attention that we should be turning towards ourselves in order to check in with ourselves. The second tip would be to practice mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is about firstly grounding yourself in the present moment, being able to testify to your own emotions, your thoughts, and your behaviors, and to do so without judgment, without evaluation, but rather with an attitude of kindness and curiosity. Often we judge others around us and therefore we fear judgment for ourselves. If we start to practice mindfulness, be it through meditation, breathing, journaling, for example, we start to acknowledge that we take the good with the bad in life. And if we can accept the good and the bad within ourselves, it is often easier to extend that courtesy to those around us. The third tip would be to journal our awareness. So what do I mean by that? Journaling is a fantastic tool that will help us keep track of our inner states, of our inner emotions and our feelings. It also helps us reflect on the past, the present, and possibly the future. Why this is important is because you can start to identify themes that allow you to understand why you are triggered, why you behave in certain ways, why you have certain fears, for example. And journaling is a safe space that allows for you to reflect in that with regards to your writing. Music could also be used, for example. Music is a wonderful way to channel emotion. So understanding why a certain song, for example, affects you in a certain way will bring more insight into how you see yourself. The psychological theory of self-awareness suggests that we are not our emotions, our reactions, our behaviors, or even our hormones, but rather we are the level of consciousness that gets to observe those things. And that is the true essence of self-awareness, is that we are not governed by our behaviors and our feelings, but rather we are aware enough to observe that these things are taking place within us. The last piece of advice I would give you is to gain a different perspective. This is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Getting critical feedback, asking people for their perspective, even though we may receive it as critique, is extremely difficult. And this is important in terms of self-awareness. Self-awareness is not only about what you know about yourself, but how you impact other people. The way you come into a room, your tone of voice. And if you're not open to receiving that feedback, your self-awareness and self-identity will always be biased or somewhat less accurate, because it is personally just your view of yourself. Asking for a different perspective is always something that will help and add to your level of self-awareness in different situations. Asking for a different perspective can even mean that you see somebody who is professional, for example, a mental health practitioner or a psychologist. What's important to note is that self-awareness is key to any therapeutic process that you embark on. What's really important here is that your level of self-awareness gives you a level of consciousness and intention throughout your day-to-day. If you are unable to practice self-awareness, how do you start a journey or how do you start to walk a journey of self-development without knowing what areas you want to address, without knowing what your goals are, who you are, and what your values are? Today's session is just nuggets, little nuggets of information for you to start reflecting and thinking about when it comes to self-development. Self-development definitely starts with self-awareness. And the great thing about self-awareness is that you can cultivate it, you can put effort into it, and you can become more intentional in how you practice your self-awareness. Join us for another episode of Monday reTsene next week.